Hello dear students. So in the last class we had discussed the relation between E and H in the free space, and we had also explained impedance, that is called the intrinsic impedance, and that is the ratio of amplitude of the electric field to that of the magnetic field. And this intrinsic intrinsic impedance, this we had already discussed in the last class, and this intrinsic impedance eta is given by this Em plus upon this Hm plus. Em plus is the amplitude of the electric field, and Hm plus is the amplitude of the magnetic field, and it was equal to root mu upon epsilon ohm. That was your intrinsic impedance. Okay. Now for free space we had discussed. So for free space, in place of mu will be mu 0. Okay, that is equal to 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7. Okay, and in place of epsilon, for free space we will use epsilon naught, and the value is 8.854 into 10 to the power minus 12. Okay, now if we will put these values, mu 0 in place of mu and epsilon 0 in the place of epsilon respectively, then what we will get? Then we will get the intrinsic impedance for free space, and that is eta naught, and eta naught equal to how much? This 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7 upon this 8.854 into 10 to the power minus 12. Okay, and this was calculated as 377 ohm. Okay, and that was resistive. So up to here we had explained in the last class. Okay, now eta can also be represented in terms of eta naught. Okay, so this eta can be expressed, okay, in terms of this eta naught. Okay, so then in that case, what will be eta? Your eta will be what is eta? Eta is mu upon epsilon. In general way we have root over mu upon epsilon. Okay, now we know that for any medium mu equals to how much? Mu equals to mu r into, sorry, mu equals to mu r into mu 0. Okay, and also epsilon equals to epsilon r into epsilon 0. Okay, so from here we can make it separate. So we can write it mu r upon epsilon r and mu 0 upon epsilon 0. Now what is this term? This term is this one, 377 ohm. Yes or no? So we can replace it, or we can write it this 377 or eta 0. Okay, so that is for free space. So from here we can write it eta 0 and root over of this mu 0 upon epsilon 0. Okay, so we have got another relation of this eta. What we have got? That eta equals to eta 0 root of mu 0 upon epsilon 0, or eta equals to, in place of this eta naught we can put 377. Yes or no? So we have put 377 and this mu 0 upon epsilon 0. Okay, so this is your relation between this eta and eta naught. Okay, So if we need this relation in numericals or somewhere, sorry, it is mu, mu r upon epsilon r. Here also mu r upon epsilon r. Okay, so this is the relation. Okay. Now we will move on towards the next topic, that is Poynting vector or Poynting theorem. So the next topic is Poynting vector or Poynting theorem. Poynting vector and Poynting theorem. This is a very important topic from the viewpoint of examination and application also. Okay, so it has been asked in numerous times in the examination. Okay, not single, twice. Okay, almost every year it is asked in the fifth unit, and the numericals are also based on this. So we should pay attention on this. Okay, and the statement is also asked. Okay, so that we will discuss after the derivation, that what is Poynting vector. Okay, so the energy can be transported from transmitter to receiver by the means of electromagnetic waves, that we already know. Okay, so the energy stored in electric field and magnetic field is transmitted at a certain rate of energy flow, which can be calculated with the help of Poynting theorem. So we all know that the energy can be transported from the transmitter to receiver by the means of electromagnetic waves, that we already know. Okay, and the energy, so let me write it also. The energy stored in, the energy stored in an electric field, an electric field and magnetic field, and magnetic field is transmitted is transmitted at a certain rate, at a certain rate of energy flow, at a certain rate of energy flow, which can be which can be calculated with the help of Poynting theorem. Poynting theorem. Okay, so the energy stored in an electric field and magnetic field is transmitted at a certain rate of energy flow, and which can be calculated with the help of the Poynting theorem. Okay, now now the cross product of E and H, E and H gives the power density. Okay, so if we do the cross product of E and H, we will get the power density. Okay, so power density is represented by P, and P equal to E cross H. Okay, and here this P vector, where this P vector is called the Poynting vector, where this P vector is called the Poynting vector. Okay, so the Poynting theorem is based on the law of conservation of energy, okay, in electromagnetism. So the Poynting theorem is based on the law of conservation of law of conservation of energy in electromagnetism. Okay, so this is the basis of this Poynting vector theorem. Okay, now we will see the statement. Okay, we will try to understand the statement and then we will do the derivation. So how the Poynting theorem can be stated? Okay, so let's see the statement of Poynting vector theorem. So it states that the net power, the net power flowing out, the net power flowing out of a given volume, of a given volume V is equal to the time rate, equal to the time rate of decrease, in the energy stored, within volume V, minus the ohmic power dissipated, minus the ohmic power, that is I square R, what we say. Okay, so minus the ohmic power dissipated. Okay, so we will try to understand this through a diagram. Okay, so let's say you have a volume. Okay, let's say you have a volume. Okay, so in this volume, from here the power is in, and from here the power is out. Okay, so this is your power out and this is your power in. What you are sending, that is your power in. Okay, and what you are receiving, that is your power out. Now in between what happens, that we'll see. So in between what happens, in between you have where your power is utilized. Okay, so some part of your power, some part of your power, okay, some part of your power is stored in this electrical energy. Okay, E. Okay, so this is your stored electrical energy. Okay, some part is stored as mechanical energy or magnetic energy, sorry, magnetic energy. So here some part of your energy what you are supplying in, okay, that is stored as magnetic energy. Okay, and some part is stored as electrical energy, some part is stored as magnetic energy, and the remaining, okay, some part is also wasted as loss. Okay, and this is your ohmic loss. Okay, so what is the statement? Now see the statement: the net power flowing out of a given volume, that is power out, okay, is equal to the time rate of decrease in the energy stored within volume V. Means time rate of decrease means it is stored as electrical energy, it is stored as magnetic energy, so slowly it is decreased. So that's why we say time rate of decrease in energy stored within volume V. Okay, this is the volume minus the ohmic power dissipated, and again this ohmic power is dissipated. So whatever power is in, that is utilized in storing the electrical energy, stored in magnetic energy, minus this loss, that is ohmic loss, and then whatever is left, that is your net power output. Okay, so this is the statement of this Poynting theorem. Let us do the derivation. So consider consider the Maxwell equation. Consider the Maxwell equation. Everywhere it is very important. Del cross E equals to what? We can write minus del B upon del T. Okay, and that is equal to, in place of B we can put mu H, so it is minus mu del H upon del T. Okay, and this is your question 1. Now again we have the next Maxwell equation, that is del cross H equals to what? J plus del D upon del T from displacement current density. In place of this D also we can write what? J also. In place of J we can write sigma E, and in place of this capital D we can write epsilon E. So this epsilon del E upon del T, and this one is your equation 2. Now taking dot product on both sides. Okay, so taking dot product on both sides. So if we take the dot product on both sides, so what will happen? This E dot del cross H equals to E dot everywhere, because we are taking it on both sides. So E dot sigma E plus E dot epsilon del E upon del T. Okay, and this one is your equation 3. So using the following vector identity, so using the vector identity, if we see, using the vector identity, this del dot this A cross B, okay, will be equal to what? B dot del cross A, okay, and minus A dot del cross B. So this is the vector identity. Okay, now applying this vector identity to equation 3. Okay, applying this vector identity with equation 3, okay, where this A vector equal to what? In place of A we have to pick put E. Okay, and in place of B we have to put H. Okay, so what we will get? So if we use that vector entity in equation 3, we will get this H dot del cross E minus del dot E cross H equals to E into sigma E and plus E dot epsilon del E upon del T. Okay, so in the next step we can write H dot del cross E minus del dot E cross H equals to sigma E square. Okay, sigma E into E square and plus E dot epsilon del E upon del T. Okay, so this is your equation 4. Now since we have this del cross E equals to how much? This is equal to minus del H minus mu del H upon del T. Okay, that we know. So then the first term of this equation, the first term of equation 4 becomes, so if we substitute this, then the first term of equation 4 will become H dot del cross E. Only we are considering the first term now. Okay, so H dot del cross E can be written as H dot, and in place of del cross E we will use minus mu del H upon del T. Okay, so it is equal to how much? Minus mu H dot del H upon del T. Okay, so considering the following term, so the remaining part of the derivation we will do in the next class.